I introduced myself as Adam Alexander.
That was a good idea.
I think I'm quickly going to become, oh, by the way, instead of Adam Alexander with this cast of characters that we have in the booth. As many of you know, we've been doing NASCAR for 20 years at Fox, and we're excited to celebrate that this weekend as we begin our 20th season. But we've been doing the Xfinity Series since 2015, and this was a concept that came to us from our president, Eric Shanks, who said, let's put Michael Waltrip and Adam in the booth, and we'll bring up a cup driver every week. And it's Siri's talking to you, Tony.
That's going to be my first ex-wife, actually.
By the way, at
really
Talladega,
close, by the way.
it's a big booth, so you can bring all your girlfriends if you need to.
It's not that big.
But we started doing this in 2015, and I think Brad and Clint, Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano were some of the first drivers to come up and join us on a regular basis. In 2017, we went to drivers only for one race a year. We did that at Pocono in 17 and 18 at Talladega, and last year at Charlotte. So this is a program that has continued to evolve. We're doing drivers only again this year. Once again, we'll be at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Clint's going to be in the booth with Joey, and Kevin Harvick will come back and serve as our play-by-play man. On pit road, we welcome Daniel Suarez for the first time. He will join us at Charlotte with Bubba Wallace and also Ryan Blaney. And in the studio that weekend will be Chad Knaus with Brad and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. So I think we've covered all the bullet points. We'll put a press release out in just a moment. First, though, some questions for these guys. Tony, can you give us a bit of a preview of what Talladega will be like with you and Clint side by side in the booth?
It very well could be the longest day of my life. Because the Clint portion of this program got added late after I already agreed. I'm fairly certain somebody lied to me and said, well, this is who you're going to be with, and in all reality, they already had him booked for that slot. And so I can promise you we will have a lot of fun up there for sure. It's, we have a lot of fun working with him anyway. Now you're going to put us in a TV booth together, and I'm sure I don't know who pays the FCC fines or whatever, but I'm not paying them. So we'll take it out of his paycheck if we have to, but we'll have a good time. It'll be fun. I used to do some of this stuff in the past and kind of got out of doing TV stuff because of wanting to be a full-time race car driver. So, but I'm going to get a start at it again and start doing some again. So, doing it with Clint at Talladega will be a lot of fun, and who knows? You never know what's going to happen at a restrictor plate race anyway. So we're not going to know what's going to happen on the track, and we're damn sure not going to know what's going to happen in the booth. So that ought to be pretty exciting.
It will be unpredictable for sure. Clint, you're taking on an expanded role with Fox this year, in addition to the broadcast stuff you'll do. More time spent on Race Hub. Why the move to do more TV this year?
Well, I think, the ease of our schedules a little bit on Saturday was a big part of that. I love this sport. I love being able to sell the sport, talk about the sport, and bench race. I think that, the opportunity to go up in the booth a couple years ago was so much fun for me, and it just, you sit there and you're up there with you, Adam, and you're taking in this race, and I think we all have a pretty unique perspective that we can bring to the table for a fan, and, you see that with everybody. Brad is his personality and his perspective on it is certainly probably different than mine. And this Busch combination is going to be epic. And certainly I can tell you this wild man is going to have a lot of fun at Talladega. But that's what's cool about this opportunity for me, is to be able to continue to be a part of this sport and to, that's the thing. On Saturdays, people don't know this about me on the weekends. My favorite thing to do is get on a golf cart and figure it out. See how a fan takes this sport, and I love that about it. So, to be able to call some of these Xfinity races, some truck races, and then, obviously talk about it, throughout the week on Race Hub is going to be a lot of fun.
Bristol will be fun with the Busch brothers. So, Kurt, we kind of know the rivalry that exists between you and Kyle. Will there be some trash talk before he comes up and joins us in the TV booth?
I mean, already he couldn't show up for the press conference, so I'm already a lap ahead. It's going to be fun. The sibling rivalry between us has been genuine over the years. It was very unique in the beginning with our racing, but now as we've both mellowed a little bit, can I say that? Is that fact? Or is that just opinion? we're gonna have fun together in the booth going back and forth, and it's our favorite track, Bristol Motor Speedway. And the way that Fox presented this offer to me was, would you be okay with calling a race with your little brother in the booth? I said, absolutely. So for me, this came together last minute, and there's a couple other races that will be added in. And again, it's just giving that perspective, like Clint saying, from Tony's perspective, from Brad's perspective, to be able to give what we've done in the car for so many years to our fans from the booth. It immediately resonates through my mind to try to live up to the expectations of what Mike Joy, Darrell Waltrip, Jeff Gordon, and all of them have done over the years. So
Maybe Jeff Gordon. Don't try to live up to Mike Joy. We're going to face trouble.
I didn't even know Mike was here.
We can handle Jeff Gordon. Mike Joy, no chance. Terrible goal. We won't reach that one.
We'll just work our way up. But no, it's going to be fun. Can't wait to get in the booth and do it with Kyle and other races as well. So I think there's 3 truck races I'm going to throw in there.
That's right, yeah, you'll be a part of that truck broadcast as well. Brad, you have been a part of the family, I feel like, for quite some time, doing races dating back to 2015, and also someone we see regularly during the week on NASCAR Race Hub. What do you learn on Saturday when you're calling an Xfinity race that maybe can carry over a little bit to the race car on Sunday?
Yeah, you know, there's certainly a lot to be learned in this sport. Every day the rules are changing, it feels like, and the tracks are changing a little bit with different things they do, and it seems like there's tons of little nuances that really make this sport go around, and I think that's why it's so hard to be a newcomer and be so successful in it. But with that in mind, I love doing the TV, even if I don't get anything out of it competitive-wise. I think it's a great opportunity to spread the gospel of motorsport to our fans, whether they're current fans or hopefully even new fans. And what I really like about Fox, specifically with this driver lineup, is that it is a whole different cast of characters, and that's great on a couple different levels. One, because it's not overly burdensome for us, but also I think it gives the fans or viewers at home an opportunity to see the race through different perspectives, as we all do, and I think that can be really healthy for them as well, and really fun.
Can I steal one of your quotes, Brad? Because I think if we put on a billboard at Talladega, Tony Stewart spreading the gospel of NASCAR, that would really go places. What do you think, Tony?
If you put me in a robe or something and put me on a billboard and put that, it'll be in
All right, we'll work on that.
Please not do that.
Let's open it up for questions. Yeah, Jordan, go ahead.
Don't be scared.
We'll get a mic to you and fire away.
Jordan Young, Tony, presumably you've had offers like this before to join the booth. Why now? Why say yes? What compelled you to do this?
Well, I didn't do it before because I can't even tie a tie. So, and they always should wear a tie up there and get dressed up. And that's not my favorite thing. But it worked out in my schedule. I mean, I'm gonna be racing that night in I think Tennessee with my sprint car. But it's just working out scheduling wise. I mean, I'm starting to not trying to run absolutely every race I can run. So we're cutting back on some of my sprint car races this year, and that opened up some opportunities to finally do some of this stuff. And I'll watch enough YouTube videos. I'll figure out how to tie a tie when I need to.
We'll help you with that.
Thanks.
Got one over here?
Yeah.
Louis Frankenreuters, I'm going to stick with Tony. We know your love of restrictor plate or tapered spacer tracks. Did Talladega choose you, or did you choose Talladega?
Talladega chose me, and I'm fine with it as long as I don't have to be on the track. So being up in a booth away from all of it, I'll be perfectly fine doing that.
Yep, right back here.
Jacob Zillman, Speed Sport. Tony's very popular today. I'll continue the trend.
Don't mad me, baby. I'm
Do
ready
this full time.
You mentioned that you had done a little bit of this before. Was this something that Fox came to you for? Did you have the idea and kind of broach it with them? I mean, what was the process behind getting you back involved in this again?
I know Fox came to us, and we obviously had a great relationship with Fox while I was racing. So it was offered when I retired, but like I said, I was really more interested in getting back to dirt racing and driving race cars again. So like I said, now that the schedule, they came to us this year and brought it back up and asked if we'd be interested, and we looked at the time frames and what races they were interested in. We found one that would still fit in my schedule and let me do what I want to do in the evening, but go to work for them during the day. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and like all three of these guys have mentioned, I mean, the fun part is they always wonder what we're thinking when we're inside the race car. So now even though we're not inside the car, we can tell them our perspective of what we see and what we think and what we're looking for, and give you an idea of what those guys in the car, what we think they're thinking as well. So it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be a good time.
Jerry Jordan, KickingTheTires.net. You know, there's a whole generation of younger guys coming up. Is this an audition for a retirement gig for any of y'all, you know, to go into TV?
No, I think this, you know, and that's a good question, but no. This is an opportunity. You look at our Saturdays, you know, qualifying is eased up. Our schedules is a lot easier than it once was, and this gives me an opportunity to be able to give back, and that's what I want to do. You know, if we're racers, man, if we get up and somebody's eating breakfast, you're not gonna have breakfast with him, but like maybe a brunch or a lunch, we're talking racing. Like, we don't do anything else. That's what we talk about. That's our language. That's the only thing we speak. That's our gospel. So to be able to,
It's all this gospel
he
stuff.
brought it up and then you brought it up. I didn't need a rose to tell you.
Your turn, Kurt.
Gospel. I'm
What
gonna
I'm
go read the
saying
rule
is,
book.
it's an opportunity to continue to stay, you know, bench racing and talk about the things that we love to talk about.
Yeah, I think the timing is right for a lot of us. Like Clint's saying, with the Saturday schedule, in the Cup Series, we're majority of the weekends just doing 1 or 2 laps of qualifying, and with the opportunity to showcase our sport to a new group of fans and also take care of our veteran fans, this group right here can connect to Stewart can, especially to the early 90s, you know, when he was coming up racing. And for us to
I
be
know
able
where your bus is parked. I'll be up later than you.
you definitely are up late. For us to just connect with as many different directions, as many different ways as possible.
You know, I think, you know, to answer your question, I would look at this not from that perspective, but from the perspective that, you know, we've all been given so much by motorsports. You know, there's thousands, probably tens or hundreds of thousands of racers out there that dream of being where we're at. And so we have a tremendous platform to, you know, help carry on the legacy of the sport. And, you know, where we got today is from those before us, and so they paved a path for us. And, you know, if paving the path for future generations is being in a booth, that's great. I'm not personally looking at it as a, you know, retirement audition as much as, you know, part of all of our responsibilities to give back to the sport that's given so much to us. You know, there's 40-some drivers that get to compete at this level, the Cup level, and you know, all of us are or have been fortunate enough to be one of those drivers. And that's the rarity, that's the exception, right? There's thousands more worldwide that would love to be in our position. So, you know, it's all of our responsibility to give back to the sport in some way, shape, or form. And you try to be judicious with how you do that. But this seems like a great way to do it. And Fox has been so generous to do it at a really high level to where it feels like it's impactful. So that it's a good use of our
We're gonna
time.
go to commercial break.
No, but I think to echo that, I think it also, you know, the Xfinity Series is a stepping stone of our sport. We all use that stepping stone to get to this opportunity in Cup. So to be able to go back and sell the story of the Xfinity Series, these new kids coming up through the ranks, that's important. And I think, you know, to Brad's point, that's how we're helping is to be able to tell their story and who's the next guy coming.
Yeah, and even bigger than that, I think it's something that if you think about the entertainment industry and how, you know, all pro sports, you know, have had their struggles in the last, you know, 3 to 5 years, this is something that Fox has done where they've thought outside the box and thought, how can we do something different that's going to get people more engaged and you know, get them watching more. And so I think it was a pretty brilliant deal for Fox to come up with this idea and concept, and, you know, having drivers do a whole race. I mean, you're not going to be better than these guys are. I mean, that's why they're here too. I mean, they're the best of the best. But to do something different, I mean, that gets people's attention. You don't think people are going to tune in just to see what 2 Busch brothers are going to say to each other the whole? They might not even watch the race. They'll listen to it. They're going to listen to the race no matter what. But that's how brilliant Fox is about thinking outside the box and how do we entertain people other than just showing them a race, which we've been doing for decades now. I mean, how do we show them something different and bring a different entertainment package to them that they haven't seen or heard before? So it's a really brilliant idea on their part to do all this.
Thank you.
We got Claire, Kelly, and then right back here. Go ahead, Claire.
Claire Beeline, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. When you guys first did TV, did you learn a lot about what you didn't know about doing television when you were down just racing cars? Can you talk about that? And then are you able to be up there saying what you want about who's racing on the track and being wide open?
The hardest thing for me is when you have that earpiece in, there's already enough voices in my head, as is. And then to have one that's added in that I'm supposed to follow, That makes it tough. But there's the teamwork aspect of it. The teamwork aspect of it is what I really enjoy. When you have the producer that you can't see but you hear, and you get a read off of that person. You know, with Adam Alexander as the anchor that's cutting to commercials and getting in the sponsor plugs that have been bought and paid for. And then there's, you know, Brad can go on for a good 6 minutes about somebody blocking at the and yeah, we only have
I'll be on tomorrow, Saturday.
we don't have like
Catch it
30
live on
seconds.
Fox.
Yours is the biggest there. I've done a Talladega race, and you have a lap time at Talladega, and then I've done a Martinsville race. That lap time is only 16 seconds or 22 seconds. So dramatic differences just in one racetrack versus another. It's a lot of fun, and it's a fun challenge.
I think the other thing that's hard is our minds are trained to look ahead, right? We're constantly looking ahead and watching a guy set somebody up, knowing what he's thinking, what he's fixing to encounter going into maybe a lap car or something like that. And all the while, you're there, you're seeing it, and you're trying to talk, and Adam's trying to get a plug in. That's the hardest thing for me is I'm like, hurry up, keep doing it, you know. For
All
me,
right, just to translate what he's trying to say.
you know what I'm saying. I'm serious. Like things happen so fast in the car from our perspective that you see that happening, and you know you're starting to get down that mindset all the while trying to take care of business. It's the other thing is the appreciation for, and I'm not at all bragging, but this guy leading the charge, keeping us under control is one thing, but making sure that it's on a timely manner. Pam in your ear is exceptional, and the camera guys, the whole engine is pretty remarkable, and until you get in that booth and see it, you just don't realize it.
Kelly, KindleRacer.com. Kurt, so Bristol is perfect for you and Kyle. How special, how much fun will it be for you to be able to be in the booth and share your love of that track and then provide only insight, you know, you and Kyle can with the success you've both had there?
Yeah, it's our favorite track. For me to have the wins and Kyle's wins, it's a track that spoke to us early in our career, and that's how this opportunity came together. It just seemed organic from Fox. Hey, let's get both Busch brothers in at Bristol, and then things blossomed from there. But you know, when you see guys on TV calling races, or you know, like Troy Aikman in football, he's the best at predicting what's coming up next, and it's going to be fun for Kyle and I.
Romo.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Well, both of them are pretty good, but yeah.
Aikman, Romo, the gang that you see from the field to the booth, that's where Kyle and I are going to be going back and forth, and we'll probably get lost in Busch translation at some point on what we both think needs to happen, and that's part of the fun of it all. David, what's wrong?
Cowboy. David Smith, The Athletic. I want to put your chops to the test right now. There's been a lot of talk this week about bad blocks, late blocks.
Take it away, Brad.
I'm curious.
That's a wrap. Check the gates.
I'm curious for someone watching at home, how would you articulate how to execute a clean block, a fair block?
I feel like everybody's looking at me. What a shocker.
An ambulance handy?
Say what?
An ambulance.
I am, but no, I don't need any more this week. Well, shoot, if I gotta take it, I gotta take it. I mean, I'm not like wordsmith Tony over here, but you know, you're definitely gonna see that Saturday in the Xfinity race. There's my Fox plug. I'm trying to help you out here, Adam and Megan, but you know, I think that the racing is certainly always evolving, and will continue to evolve. That's what makes it special. Is you know, what you saw 10 years ago is probably not what you're gonna see 10 years from now, and certainly not what you're gonna see today. And you know, the driver tactics are one of those things that evolve, and you know, I think we've seen the plate racing change to where, you know, it used to be you came to Daytona and the track was so rough and bumpy, you know, you could bump somebody, but if you tried to push them, the cars would bounce up and down so bad that, you know, you'd about be like a forklift picking them up. But you know, now that's not the case, and so that's certainly changed some of the tactics, because it's harder to be spun out than, you know, Tony probably and these guys know with the older cars before the track was pre-paved. I didn't get to run it, but it was hard. It was easier to spin out then. It's harder to spin out now, but that just means we hit each other harder and get back to whatever that limit is, because as race car drivers, that's what we do. We look for a limit and we push right to it. And so, you know, the blocking tactics have evolved with that. And, you know, I think a lot of the issues that have happened here in the last few speed weeks or even at the play tracks have come from the fact that the TV coverage itself is so darn good that people watch the races or specific people are watching the races that drive the cars, and they see moves that work and they try to replicate them, and they can't. They're not there, and that's part of it. So with respect to that, I think we'll always see it continuing to evolve, and I think there's a lot of factors that have added into it. But if you're making a block that causes you or the guy behind you to wreck, I would say that's probably not a very good block. When someone's going to the care center.
At the end of the day, you block because it works, and it works until it doesn't, and that's the only unfortunate difference between one that works and one that doesn't is a crash. It's successful until it's not, and then you're the bad guy. You've wrecked the whole field because it was an untimely block, and you wrecked everybody. But if you didn't, you should have, and you're going to lose the race. So it's a tricky thing to judge, and as it has evolved, to Brad's point, it puts you on the spot, and it's do or die, and it's a decision that has to be made that fast.
That was good. I thought you were going to say something. Got one back here. Here we go. Time for one or two more.
Tony or any one of you good gentlemen sitting up there, I've always wanted to ask this question. On the last lap, if you're among those cars, is there a specific position on the track that you would rather be or not be?
I would pick first all day long. I mean, you never know. Yeah, and Clint just brought it perfect. Man, I mean, he's a lot smarter, I guess, than I thought he was. He's saying some smart stuff up here, but like he just mentioned, if caution comes out and you're leading, because something happens behind you, as far as whether you're talking about a particular lane or something, it's so hard because none of the scenarios are ever the same. They're always different. It's all about what guys are behind you pushing. I guarantee you on the last lap, you're going to block no matter what. I don't care how many lanes are coming, you're going to try to pick the lane that's going to get to you first and try to stop that momentum. And like they mentioned, you're going to have to do that. So, I'd always rather be in the front versus, the last place you want to be is in the back, because there's a really good possibility something's going to happen on that last lap and you'll probably get caught up in it.
Yeah, definitely wait until you have to be in the lead. You cross the white flag, the race is over if the caution comes out. And, if you're sitting around there for that last corner slingshot, you don't know if that's going to, transpire or not. You don't know if somebody's going to side draft off, if you pull off the guy behind you, you lose your help, he goes with somebody else, goes with one of his teammates. There's just too many variables. So, no different than any other race, I believe. You got to be in the lead always.
Yeah, it's being in the lead. I think it gives you the best percentage chance to control the outcome. Researched a bunch of plate races. Brad's won a ton of races by being in the lead when that final yellow came out. But then again, I was leading a ton at Talladega 2 Octobers ago, and I ran out of gas coming to take the checkered because I had led too much and towed the train and burned up my fuel compared to my other teammates.
I like what they said. Very good.
Anybody else? One last question we have time for? Anybody got a question? All right, that's going to do it. Brad, Kurt, Clint, Tony, thank you for coming. We look forward to the year, and we look forward to the coverage this weekend on Fox and FS1. Thank you.